Hello, friends. This is Mac Payne, founder, owner, and operator of the Vietnam Veteran News Podcast, a place where we bring you news about the Vietnam War and the brave veterans who served there, as told to you by yours truly, a Vietnam veteran. In the past 12 years, I have published over 3,200 episodes to the podcast. One of the main things I try to do in the podcast is to enhance the reputation of Vietnam veterans. Because when we came home, our reputations weren't all that good. Matter of fact, many people said bad things about us. We're totally wrong. Many Vietnam veterans took this to heart. It bothered them greatly that people were calling them names like baby killers and terrible other things. And all these Vietnam veterans, they were just regular people you would meet on the street or in your neighborhood. They were called by their country to go over to Southeast Asia and help stop the spread of communism. They did their best. In most cases, they did a real good job over there in a difficult situation. When they came home, many times they weren't treated very well. Sometimes they were spat upon, called names. Many Vietnam veterans did take it to heart, and it bothered them greatly. Many carried the pain of those times for years. What I'm trying to do here is to correct that. Let the nation know about the greatness of the Vietnam veteran generation by telling the nation about the Vietnam veteran generation. Anytime I find an opportunity to highlight good things being done to recognize the greatness of the Vietnam veterans, I like to feature it on this podcast. In this short video today, I am here to let you know I just published another podcast episode that highlights what the good people up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania are doing to honor their Vietnam veterans. They are in the process of naming local bridges in the county after Vietnam veterans. Usually these bridges are named after Vietnam veterans who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country over there in Vietnam. Back in episode 2786 and 3072, I featured two Vietnam veterans from Bucks County who had bridges named for them. One was Captain Addis Leominis. Another was Air Force Major Frank C. Parker. That is a wonderful thing. I am glad to see that practice being done, naming bridges after fallen Vietnam veterans. Because generally, once you name a bridge after somebody, it'll stay there for a long time. And as I mentioned in the podcast, naming a bridge after a fallen Vietnam veteran is a good way to help remember them, because so many times people will use bridge names and directions. Think about how many times you've told somebody to go to such and such bridge, take the third road afterwards and hang a right to go down to see somebody, find a location, see a business, maybe even go see a doctor. And you sort of remember the names of the bridges. That's why I'm so excited about what they're doing up in Bucks County. In this episode I just published, which is 3231, I covered a story on local TV about what they're doing up there to name 6 bridges after fallen Vietnam veterans. It is a wonderful thing they're doing there. I encourage you to not only watch the podcast episode to hear what the good people up there are doing, but also it gives the names of the 6 individuals they're naming the bridges after. And if you know any of these fallen Vietnam veterans, you might just want to go there and attend the bridge naming ceremony when they do it. There is a link on the podcast website where you can get more information about these namings, who's going to be named on what dates and which bridges. You can find that out by going to the podcast website and listening to episode 3231. And again, I've made it easy for you. All you've got to do is go down below this 1965 version of a Philco TV set. There you will see a link that'll take you straight to the podcast website, VietnamVeteranNews.com, and my latest podcast episode, number 3231. Click on that, you can be listening to it immediately. Find out the who and what about the deal of them renaming 6 bridges up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, after fallen Vietnam veterans. I recommend you do this because it'll make you feel better and more patriotic. It'll also give you some ideas about what you might do in your area. Sadly, probably every county in America has a fallen Vietnam veteran they can name a bridge after. It'd be a great thing to do. In this podcast episode, it tells how the people there went about getting this done, who they had to contact, and who would help them. That's always good to know when you're trying to do a project like this, is who's going to help you. So please go over and look at the podcast website, 3231, about the people up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, who are going to rename 6 bridges in the county after 6 fallen Vietnam veterans. Watch that episode and you'll make this old Vietnam veteran happy. But wait, there's more. There's another way you can make this old Vietnam veteran happy, and that is to like this video, share it if you would, and then if you haven't already done so, subscribe to my channel. That would make me very happy. So with that message delivered, I'm going to close out this short video. Thank you for listening. Encourage you to go listen to the podcast episode I just published. Do something about it in your area, and then we'll talk soon. Again, thank you for listening.